Here.
Larillier?
Here.
Dukakis?
Yeah.
Mayo?
Here.
Reedy?
Here.
Grimm is excused, and Moriello.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great. Is there a motion to approve the previous minutes?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. I've been advised that item 2 is being tabled.
Is table of request response.
Table of request response. Item 3. For 2? It's one of the.
Conway?
Oh, okay, okay. And then, okay, on to item 3, which is our decorum issue. I believe Mr. Kuhn's going to address that.
Yep. So this is a proposed resolution to add some language to the guidelines for public comment that would clarify that there are, I think the ordinary rules that are observed or should be observed during civil discourse it would basically just codify those to make it, to state that, ordinary rules of respect and courtesy and decorum are observed, and to, these are along the lines of what are the text that is in the rules for, a lot of legislative bodies. And I think we would just be codifying those and basically putting them down in black and white.
Yeah. Are there any questions?
Mario?
Just real quick, I just want to make sure I understood you. So, this is in practice now, where all we're doing is formalizing this in rules?
Yeah, I think if, the chair, as the chair of the legislature and the chair of any committee, it's, part of their responsibility under Robert's rules is to maintain order, and all of our committees are supposed to be run under Robert's rules, and the rules in that about sort of, not engaging in personalities and decorum and all that. But not everybody has a copy of Robert's around, so I think we're just trying to put some of that into the to make the guide, to make it clear sort of what. But to answer your point, the chair would always be within bounds to say, that's, I don't feel like
In here I saw it said that the chair can, a person gets 5 minutes to speak unless the chair changes that.
That's
Yeah,
already.
That's
I
our rule. We have
think
a
that's
large-
part of it that's not, that's pre-existing.
We have a large crowd, she usually cuts it down to 3 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
That'll still continue.
But that's actually not what I don't think that's changing at all.
No.
This doesn't indicate, by underlining what's new and what's existing, but I'm fairly certain that's not changing. Can I answer any other questions about this?
So, it would be the responsibility of the chair, to control the audience. I think that's often, it's number 10 here, comments, questions, jeering, or other interruptions. Now, other interruptions is that, we have a lot of bursts of clapping, we have a lot of yays over the years that I've been sitting in there. There's a lot of, so it would be the responsibility of the chair to either accept that or, smash the gavel and ask for quiet or something. Or, do you think that would be, do you think that would be hurtful in any way?
Well, these are the rules for when someone is getting up, some member of the public has come in and is making a comment. And I think what this is saying is that when someone is speaking, either 3 minutes or they're 5 minutes, it is not appropriate for other people in the room, including in the audience, to interrupt them in any way, including comments or questions, or to jeer, or to do anything. Like, they have the floor, it's their opportunity to speak, they shouldn't be interrupted. This is just, making that clear.
So you're not really talking about the in-between?
No, these
You're
are,
mostly talking about the minutes they have, that's their minutes, those are their minutes on the floor.
Correct.
They can't be,
interrupted.
And I like
Shout
the
it
not
down.
passing it to somebody else piece, because that's, could really extend somebody's time, like in a huge amount, and I don't feel that kind of does not level a playing field, so I did like that remark. I don't know if we ever have done that at a public hearing, but we do it some other times, once in a while, between ourselves.
And this wouldn't change that.
I had a question on that same item,
Number
11. Actually, yeah, on number 11, actually. It talks about props, not being able to use props. So if someone has a photo of something like a picture of a building that they're concerned about, or, that's part of their presentation, this wouldn't allow that sort of thing? Or an aerial of
Yeah.
That's why I was just wondering about props.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to say, okay, here's this derelict building and I am really concerned it's gonna fall down, and they would want to bring a photo in to show that condition of something, or just,
It sounded to me like they could give it to the clerk and the clerk
Okay.
would circulate it to us, but
Okay.
it's not for like public display. I got the idea was to keep the public display under like,
but as like an exhibit to their talk or their presentation at the public comment period.
Well, someone can always circulate something to all members of the legislature.
Okay, right.
But I think what this is trying to avoid is when you're given your 3 or 5 minutes, you can't go up there with an easel and start, putting up a bunch of stuff. It's to comment, it's to make oral comments. And if you want to supplement those by circulating something, that's fine. But I don't think it's ever happened, and I wouldn't want to encourage it, that people start bringing up, setting things up, and, that's really not what it's for.
It has happened and it's been denied in the
Oh,
past.
okay, so we're just making
Just
it
saying-
clear that when it is denied, it's not being arbitrary, it's.
So the public has the ability to make copies for the members.
Oh, sure.
And the clerk, and provide that,
Absolutely.
and distribute it before they speak, or?
After, before,
Okay.
whatever works. That wouldn't change.
Usually, what happens is that anyone will usually have something that they want us to read. They usually come early, and we'll find it on our desk. As a rule, that's what happens.
you've got emails.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Please. Any other questions? Thank you. Motion by Mr. Beatty, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Mr. Caucus, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No, great, thank you. Moving on to local law N, amending the Albany County Charter, and Mr. Coon, I think again is going to address.
Okay, I don't know, a lot of you were here for law, but, okay. First of all, this charter review covers 3 different subjects which really aren't related. One is the increasing of the Board of Contract Administration figure, the monetary figure that requires legislative approval. Right now, it's $100,000, but that hasn't increased in a long time. It hasn't kept pace with inflation, so basically just inflating that number from $1,993 to $2,024. That's part 1. Part 2 is, I guess, taking some current existing county agencies and memorializing their existence in the charter. Pat?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. And then the third element is abolishing the current, we currently have elected coroners in Albany County. As I said, during law, we are really the only urban county within the state that still elects coroners. Erie County, Monroe County, Onondaga County, and all the counties downstate have professional medical examiners. So this would be eliminating the elected coroner position, non-policy-making position, and instead having appointed medical examiners. So those 3 things, we are going to separate them out and consider them separately because they're really substantively don't have anything to do with each other. So that's one thing that's going to happen procedurally. And then I think tonight the idea was just to introduce these items to the members of the various committees so that there can be discussion. This will not these items will not be, I think they all require, do they all require ultimately approval by the voters? If we-
No. So of these, okay, so if we separate the three separate things. The addition of those departments into the charter is not, they'd be permissive referendum. Somebody could go out and petition.
Get the signatures, right?
The coroners pursuant to state law do not require it, that's also permissive, but our charter would require it because it requires it when you remove an elected position. And I don't think the contract administration board would be mandatory, I believe that would be permissive.
Okay. So at least the coroner one would ultimately, whatever the legislature does, if the legislature in theory was to approve this amendment to our charter, it would also then be subject to a referendum by the people, by the voters in the county, which would in theory be in November of 2025?
Yes.
Okay. So they're going to be separated out because they are akin to, an amendment to the county constitution. The idea is to start the discussion tonight, but have people communicate amongst themselves with whomever else they need to, and then maybe at the next meetings in a month from now, after people have had a chance to review these things, we can think about moving them to a public hearing or just having another round of substantive discussion. So they are not proposed to be moved out to public hearing at this point, but just to kind of start the discussion of these issues. So that's my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions?
I just thought of something. So was it last year that we voted on the coroners?
To do what?
Didn't we vote for coroners last year? Which
Oh.
term? Yeah, I'm just
Sorry,
wondering.
okay, as
Yeah.
citizens?
Yes, as citizens.
So there's 4 of them and they're in cycles of 2 years.
Okay, so if you voted for this in 11/25, does that mess up
So I
the
can,
terms?
the state law has already contemplated the dissolution of the coroner's office. You could take that to mean that they wanted us to head in that road. I don't know. But County Law 400 directs what the outcome of that vote is. And they would hold office until the medical examiner is up.
Oh, okay.
And to give you a little nugget of information, when coroners are on the ballot, then you can go and check, but historically, there's a significant number of people who don't vote for that line because, for whatever reason, they just don't vote. Perhaps because, well, when I say significant, I don't mean I just mean
They don't
10
have
to
an
20% of
opponent.
people just
Yeah.
don't vote
Yeah.
on that. So take that for whatever it's worth.
Ms. Rhea?
I remember when we did the charter review, I think the medical examiner number was somewhere around $20 million startup. Does anybody remember that? As far as getting a building and employing the people we would need to employ. It sticks in my head, $20 million of it, and I know, what's a coroner's? I don't have my budget with me, 1.3, 1.4 million a year, something like that, for office costs. I mean, it's gonna be a great cost if we go this route. I know it's probably more professional, and I think the Republicans really pushed it during the charter review, if I remember Frank, I think he did.
I don't know if we did or not, but
Arnis is not against it.
Well, the Charter Commission recommended,
Right.
so, but there was a discussion about costs.
Wasn't it cost like $20 million?
I don't.
I never heard the $20 million number, but a lot of counties have, I think Jeff alluded to it earlier, a lot of counties have moved in this direction now. We're a chartered county. It's different than, there's 62 counties in the charter, 19 of them are chartered. They operate different. Of the 19 chartered counties, I think 4 still have coroners. So they're all have moved into this direction, and in recent years. And I feel like if faced with a $20 million bill, they may not have. But I'll look into it.
Okay, and just one other point that, for the medical examiners, who would go out to the homes or the rivers, whatever, to collect funds? The medical examiners, they wouldn't do that, correct?
No, I think there's forensic investigators that would be the people who do that.
And does anybody know in different counties how many investigators there are?
I mean, subject to population.
Yeah. That would depend entirely on the county and the type and location and whatnot.
We've been working with the executives on this one because this goes back to the Charter Review Commission, which is now almost a decade old. or more, I think. We've been researching this along the way, and we're gonna, I think, have a very robust amount of information coming, like pretty much all of the dollars and cents, so.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, they're both tabled at request to sponsor, so we have finished our agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, have a nice evening.
Thank you, everybody.
I don't remember. And I was.
It's wonderful.